You might actually think this episode is a little weird, but that's kind of the point. This is what we're meant to do. Push ourselves, get outside the usual format, and bring you new minds from beyond our beautiful Mercer County. Today's guest is Reiner Ziehm. He's a wildly accomplished creative who spent the last couple decades at the intersection of entertainment, tech, and storytelling. Beyond the resume, he's just a beautiful human being. He's curious, passionate, and always chasing the next interesting thing. We started this conversation talking about AI, but in true Reiner fashion, we never stayed in that lane. So buckle up and just enjoy the ride. And if you haven't already, follow us on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. It helps us grow and keeps this thing going. Hello, and welcome to the Two Dads Podcast, episode number 42. That's 4-2 to my left. My co-host Slick Willie's still here, Bill. He's still here.
What? I quit.
And
I didn't quit this.
Spoiler alert.
Reiner's here with us too. Reiner's him. It's good to see you guys. How we doing?
Hey, how are you, buddy? I'm doing good. Reiner, episode number 42. What athlete do you have that wore the number 42? This is a tricky one.
There's only one. The great late Jackie Robinson.
That is a really good one. That puts some strain on who I can pick because half the sports or baseball retired that. But fun fact, Mr. Mariano Rivera was number 42. He was grandfathered into the policy before it got retired.
Really?
Yeah. So once he quit, it was basically he was the last one to wear it.
Wow.
Mine is going to be Chonlo McVera. That's made up. I have no idea. From week to week, I have zero idea. I've never tracked numbers. I know we can talk
There's
about
no Packers, 42 Packers.
Dude, I can barely remember. I don't.
It's like Troy Pumanamalamu.
He was 43, so we got one for next week.
Oh yeah, there we go.
42. I think Ronnie Lott was 42 for the 49ers. I don't know.
Where's my crickets at over here?
Yeah, and
you're getting a lot better at the buttons
tonight.
Yeah, that'll conclude the podcast. But no, it's good to see you guys. It's good to be here. Reiner, you came in from you were in Japan, and then you went to
L.A.
And then you went to Ohio.
Yeah.
And then for some odd reason, you came out here and stopped in this random garage here for the Two Dads Podcast. How was the...
I was doing the Trail of Serial Killers. So, Jeffrey Dahmer, Akron, Ohio. Let's see. L.A.'s got Richard Ramirez, the Hillside Strangler, or whatever his name was.
Yeah.
And then Tokyo, I think, had that sarin gas cult where they unleashed the sarin gas.
In the trains and stuff? Why do I know this? This is why... I mean,
the trains, yep.
Have you seen the trend of Garth Brooks being a serial killer?
With the what was his alter identity?
I don't remember.
No. Come on. There's people yelling it in the car.
Hey, watch this. Hold on. Hey, Meta, what was Garth Brooks' alter ego's name?
Chris Gaines. I bet I beat it. For those of you who are listening and not watching, he's actually AI. It's Chris Gaines. I've already got it. So this goes to show, as we tease this episode, that the human mind will always beat AI, which is not true. But that's a good segue. Because Reiner has come out here, and obviously you're a good friend of mine. We go way back. And Reiner's been in a lot of crossover industries that I've worked in, but you've always been on sort of leading edge in a way.
Bleeding edge.
It's bleeding edge?
It's bleeding edge.
Okay, thank you so much for taking over the show. That's all the time we have for Reiner. No, but he's been on the bleeding edge of technology. I mean, you've had an obsession with Apple back in the day. You've been on AR video games and VR before it was cool, mobile games when they were just coming up. And it's an interesting topic because I really want to talk about AI. I think it's a pertinent subject kind of happening very quickly. And specifically in our small town, it's happening probably quicker than people anticipated. I think people are acclimating it to a little bit. But at the same time, I want to talk about it. I think this is a fun little topic to bring somebody from out of town into our small town and kind of share their, background with it. But have you guys had interactions with AI? Like, what's your interaction so far? Bill, I'll toss it to you and then kind of get a feel for this as we kind of have a round table now.
I would say I've become a lot more acclimated to it probably over the last 3 to 4 months since I took my new gig. One of my bosses is a huge advocate of it and basically says, like, if we don't start pushing AI now, in 6 months to 12 months, we'll be so far behind the real estate game. But I also think we're in an industry where AI is not optimized to where some other ones are because the technology in real estate really is not necessary at all times. But the ability for us to go through and build out a standard for AI and then basically run our leases through it and be able to send it in there and say, hey, scan for X, Y, and Z and see if there's any missing things, pops it out there in 20 seconds and says, yep, you're missing column 4.2, blah, 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 blah. And then you're able to go back there and fix that. So we kind of use it as like a safety net more than maybe like a marketing tool or a response of that, but we're starting to get very heavily into it.
Right. How would you describe AI to somebody that doesn't know what it is? I mean, there are, and you got to be fair. There are people in this podcast that have heard the term.
Yeah.
It's very like newspaper heavy, and I think it's a buzzword in a way right now. But like, I guess I would toss it to you, Reiner. Like, how would you describe for somebody not in the room, like what AI is?
Well, I'm gonna start off by saying it's garbage in, garbage out. I mean, it's technically it's an LLM, large learning model, which means it has to learn from existing information in order to put it together and answer whatever query or prompt you give it. So it's literally garbage in, garbage out. And I'm going to jump way ahead in our conversation. The problem with AI is if you stop human creation, AI will have nothing to pull from in order to create what it's creating until it becomes self-aware, Terminator, Skynet type stuff, where it becomes self-aware and can start creating content. Because right now it's just taking and leveraging what already exists and repackaging it and giving you something very polished.
So you're saying like
That's scary.
Yeah, it's very scary. It also leads to an almost like a lack of creativity. As much as it's a tool to be creative, it has an inauthenticity to it. You know what I mean? It's like, am I coming up with something in front of me, or is this just Bill's idea and Reiner's idea and 50,000 other people's similar idea into one little like cube that's sort of sorting it and then regurgitating it back to me?
Yeah.
Leads me to a second question, and that's sort of like, have you seen AI slop before?
Unfortunately, yes.
For kids in a learning scope, right? Like I'm out of college, I'm out of high school, I'm not in school anymore. But like I think of my son, right? He's 8, right? So he has no exposure to AI at this point, at least from a learning ability standpoint. I'm very old school. We do his homework every night on paper and pen so he can learn to write because that's important as well at this age. But I'm thinking, by the time the kid gets to high school in another 6 years, where's AI going to be at that? Because I guarantee there's college kids right now burning down ChatGPT, Grok, and all these other things and said, hey, here's my thoughts. Please publish this into a 2-page report. And then that's what they're sending in. So I think that's a scary edge. And then to be on the other side, like imagine being a teacher and trying to decipher like, hey, Mitch is a super smart guy. Did he write this? Because this definitely seems like this was something, auto-generated essentially.
And that's the problem because you have people that are still being authentic and sincere, but you're creating that doubt like, oh, did Mitch really write that? And just even have that doubt, like, hate to say it, but, like, are those really Mitch's boobs or do you get a surgery? So, yeah, they're
really my boobs.
I was going to say, if they weren't, you got ripped off.
Yeah. No, I went to Guatemala for a weekend. It was awkward. But yeah, I think that's part of recognizing that for me is how a small business can sort of utilize AI, and we'll talk about that later in the podcast. But I AI is impacting. I come from marketing, and Bill, you come from
I call it account management, baby.
Yeah, but still, and Reiner, what would you say your industry now is?
Brand
and branding, but it's impacting a wide variety of different industries from a wide variety of different ways. I mean, you can make songs, you can make videos. I mean, the thing that's making me mad a lot in Mercer County right now is everybody on these Facebook posts are getting fooled by AI. They're like, have you seen this thing? David Letterman just punched this woman with a sledgehammer. And you're just like, are you serious? Like, what are you talking about? They're like, look at the video. It's getting to a point now where I sort of get nervous. I'm nervous because like some of the generational people, a little bit older and stuff, are starting to get like hung up on it a little bit. And I don't know, man. Like, have you seen it around town? Do you see it in LA a little bit? Are you seeing like local communities starting to get fooled by AI more commonly?
Well, I mean, let's take a step backwards because AI is obviously the buzzword right now, but manipulation's been going on in society for a long time. I mean, advertising is literally psychological manipulation to make you believe you need something that maybe you don't need. That's the whole goal. So we're in a capitalistic society where we're trying to influence people. AI is just a tool, and there's been lots of tools before AI. I mean, movie posters probably for past 30 years are not actually what you think you see. First time I saw a movie poster, I think it was Tin Cup with Kevin Costner.
Great flick.
And, actually funny, I never saw it, but I believe he was great.
I saw the poster, though.
I know the poster. And that's not Kevin Costner's arm. They had to shoot a body double with his arm, and basically he was Frankenstein together. So it's not Kevin Costner. I think it's his head and maybe his chest. Everything else is a manipulation of other parts. So it's not AI, but it's human manipulation to try and get you to think, okay, this is something better than it actually is.
The one thing that scared me, and I saw it, there was and I mean, it's a pretty adult podcast, obviously, but any kids listen, I'd tell you to probably tune out. But
You already told him about Santa, so I mean, what's...
well, it's that one, Hot Mic
Spoiler
episode 9 or 10, whatever it was. I'm glad nobody got we got no backlash from that.
We were too small then.
Yeah,
AI,
nobody
don't
was
worry.
listening.
There'll be
yet.
AI clips later.
But there was a teacher, and I think it was in Ohio or Michigan, that AI'd explicit pictures onto students, like headshots. So combined, obviously, probably adult female's body with, a student of the school's head. He got arrested because they deemed it child pornography, obviously, with the intent. And he got like 10 or 15 years behind bars, which it's like it's scary to that because you can just tell something and like as long as you broke the code of whatever it'll decipher, will spit it out, and he got that somehow. So that's a scary thought too. I think we're going on a lot of the scary, but not so much the good side, Like for me, I mean, there's a lot of advantages to it, right? Like there really are, but I don't know, do the goods outweigh the bad?
It's a philosophical conversation. We live in a free society. And of course, hope people self-regulate themselves, but there's always going to be bad actors.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, a tool is a tool, and it can be used in many different ways. And obviously, tools can be used for bad. It can be used for good. I mean, not to bring up gun control, but obviously that's an issue we've been debating and will continue to debate. And all these other tools, like you said, you can use it for nefarious purposes. And unfortunately, hopefully there's punishment for those people, but that's not going to stop people. Unfortunately, there's a lot of ways to hide now. And
I think you're right, though. We talk about the bad side. What's some of the stuff you guys use it for good? Because I know there's a lot of people that are listening that are like, I haven't really interacted with it. They've like Berkey, he's told me, he's like, I downloaded ChatGPT, and that's as far as he's got. What are some of the good things that people can kind of take out of it? Because, we talk about the negatives, we talk about some of the extreme negatives there, but like, what are some good that comes out of it? If nobody's used AI before, of any kind, and we talk about AI, it's kind of like, we talk about it like it's one. There's many different AIs out there. Maybe explain, some of the tools that you were talking about. Like, what's a wide array of potential it has, and maybe that potential is limitless, but how can you categorize it for somebody that's trying to understand it a little bit better?
No, that's a great question. Well, Bill was talking about using it for compliance and real estate, and obviously there's legal advice and things like that you can filter through it. But I'm in the marketing branding side as well, so I'll talk about the pillars of marketing, which is telling a story. And in storytelling, you want to build authenticity. And unfortunately, there's a term that, I don't know if I made this up, but I call it manufactured authenticity, which basically is what advertising is. You walk into a Starbucks, it's manufactured authenticity. You think these people like you. You feel like you're in an Italian coffee shop, which, if you know the history of Starbucks, Howard Schultz went to Milano and literally saw, oh, wait, we can sell coffee in shops and people will go there and hang out. So he basically brought this model to the United States. And so it's a kind of a artificial environment that we're creating. And, all the content we're creating, we're trying to create authenticity. So my company I'm working with right now, it's only 2 of us. And so I mention our names all the time when we reply to emails to people. I'm like, Phil and I just thank you for being part of this. And that brings authenticity to the brand. But then you lose some of that, of course, if you start doing testimonials or user-generated content, and it's using some kind of AI voice or manipulation or even an AI actor, which at this point, you can't almost tell the difference. It was only a year ago that it was an AI actor. It was guaranteed that they'll have 6 fingers, and that was always the tell.
Right.
It's like, we use ChatGPT. I forgot, it's not the hyphen, but the long dash or whatever it's called.
Yeah, the long dash. Or I say a high trafficked amount of emojis. You can also see it just loves pigeoning those in. But
or it might be coming from my mom. That's how basically
you never know. That's just a thumbs up. That one's just a thumbs up, no words.
Yeah. So so back to your question, it's how far do you tweak something with AI where it becomes inauthentic? So for instance, there's been a lot of times I took a photo of a real object with a real person and a real background. I'm like, it's not 9:16 or it's not the right format. So I'll just do a set extension in AI and it'll just basically make the palm tree in the background a little taller. And it's not really a primary part of the image. It's just trying to fill the frame.
We do a ton of that for all of our like covers for YouTube. Like YouTube thumbnails are very difficult. And most of the times you have to have a photo. And even AI is not right. Like there's a whole psychology behind the thumbnails. But even if you think about like the Two Dads podcast, like how we utilize AI is like it makes our pictures. It does help me come up with some of the script. Like it just helps me format. I don't like putting too much in because I've noticed that when we do too much with it, if you rely too much on the technology to do the work for you, it does come across generic. Yeah. It does lack that soul. Now, whether that'll be like that in 10 years, who knows? Like it's moving at a freight train. But
Soul is a good word, by the way.
Soul is what is the authenticity that you're talking about. Manufactured authenticity is just making something that's soulless appear more soulful, I think, in a way. I think it's why the food truck works too and the podcast works, because it's just still raw in a sea of things where you still like to see creativity. It's a pendulum shift. You're going to see things go full AI. And I've read that a lot of companies that tripled down on AI haven't even seen an efficiency increase yet.
See, it's funny you talk about efficiencies with it, though, but it depends, I guess, what you use it for. Like, if I'll use it for something, I'll use it again in the real estate world a little bit to vet a lease or to do this, and it's obviously optimized faster than I can read it anyways. Or to come up with a quick search, right? Like,
sure.
The law, like you said, right? The law, like, how many days do I have to give notice to if X, Y, and Z, right? Well, what state are you in? You're in Ohio, so there's different fair housing laws in Ohio versus Indiana versus Michigan. It was funny because I was talking to a painter up there in Toledo this week, and he mentioned in the state of, it's Indiana or Michigan, I forget what he said, that every time someone moves out, if you rent an apartment, you live there for 4 months, and you move out, you break your lease, they have to repaint it. Every single time.
What?
And I was like, there's no way that's accurate. ChatGPT, yes, under blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, why? And it's like a cleanliness thing. And it's wild to me because, you have people that move in for 1 month and they bounce on you and you got to refill it and I'd have to repaint that whole unit. So not only now am I on the hook for 11 months of a lease, I'm on the hook for all the paint.
It's going to make a lot of people sharper. You know what I mean?
So it's just, it's weird, but.
Have you seen, I had watched this reel the other day about, I don't think euphoria is the right word, but ChatGPT, you have to like ask it, specifically if you're using AI of ChatGPT, you have to ask it if it's being, I can't remember the word. It's like, I'm going to use euphoric for those listening, but basically, Bill and I, we're having that conversation. Remember I sent you that video? Bill's like, here's our stats, and here's what ChatGPT says is good for retention rate for the Two Dads podcast. I pulled the same query up with the same thing, and it showed completely different things. And I said to Bill, I'm reading about this thing where ChatGPT can also project on the things that you want to hear to create an argument that's false to sound true, which goes against every logical fallacy that we're talking about right now. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's getting to a point where it's like, what is true, what is false, and even we're going to see a lot of positives from efficiencies, being able to do things faster. You're also going to see a lot of like fact checking now, where people are going to start using this for business and talking about creed, and that impacts you too, Mercer County. Like I know this episode probably is going to sit there, and some people in the car and go like, "Man, this stuff is like over my head." It's really not, and you need to start paying attention to this because it's going to start ramping up really fast.
And that's whether you're going to use it or not. Like, you just need to learn what the pros and cons are. And you can say, like, hey, look, that's not good for this or this. I mean, technology is great, right? But technology is limitless, is what I say. It just continues to grow and adapt. But what, I guess, question for you
Let
is...
me interject real fast. I want to go back to a topic. You said facts. Here's a little trivia.
Right.
Who's famous for quoting the term alternative facts? Kellyanne Conway.
I'm going to say CNN.
Yeah, well, close. I mean, it's politicians.
Yeah, I mean,
alternate facts. And, everyone laughed at the time when she said that. I'm like, oh, I think she's actually onto something because unfortunately,
it makes sense.
All it takes, I'm German, but I'm also not a binary person. I'm not a black and white person. So I believe everything is gray, somewhere between 1 and 99. 0 and 100 rarely exists. And so, that's how conspiracy theories are born because it's really hard to prove something. Like if I say to you, Paris doesn't exist, you're going to say, yeah, it does. I'm like, well, prove it. And how do you prove it? I mean, have you been to Paris?
No.
So, but you assume Paris exists. So if you haven't been there, I mean, you could be living in the Matrix. It might be, as you said, life could be a simulation. And so maybe Paris exists, maybe it doesn't.
Bill, did we land on the moon?
Well, I mean, okay, that's a hot topic, obviously.
All right, did you see the episode where I said what my take was on that?
No, I missed that one.
All right, I need your take. Did we land on the moon?
And when I say, I mean I'm going to be AI and say, what does we mean? So I'm going to pick this apart as a German.
I'm going to say
what does we mean?
The Neil Armstrong flight that claimed to be
Buzz
the first on the moon.
Just drove through Wapakoneta. Huh?
Yeah, he did. He's waving to you, saying, "Hi, Bill Ray. I faked it."
I had we had our work Christmas party. And I get right back to this in Troy or in Piqua this past weekend, and we had our team down from Toledo to come down. They drove by. And shout out Daniel and his girlfriend Sam. They were down. Well, they were early, so they said, "What can we do in this area on their drive down?" And you know where they stopped? The Neil Armstrong Museum.
Yeah.
Like that's the one that claim to fame in this area. But yeah, that flight that we allegedly first landed on the moon with the space race. What are your thoughts?
So I would love to say 100% we landed on the moon. And if you held a gun to my head, I would say, yes, we landed on the moon. But I don't know if we landed on the moon. I mean, it depends on where the facts come from. Here's one of my philosophical cornerstones to conspiracies, drives my girlfriend crazy, is it's really hard for a lot of people to keep a secret. I mean, yeah, you can keep a little secret. Like Jimmy Hoffa, there's probably a handful of people that know what happened. That's an easy secret to keep. But when you have two nations that are at extreme odds with each other, which is the United States and USSR, and they're very competitive, and one of them acknowledges that, yeah, they did it. So anyway, just have to look at like extraneous circumstances.
Yeah, but what about JFK? They just declassified documents not long ago that said everybody kept the secret pretty well.
I know, and see, that's a problem when people
so
keep
now
secrets.
Where are we at? Your whole basis for your argument is it's really hard to keep a secret, and I agree with you that it's hard to keep a secret. But in the facts are facts, they just declassified documents that basically said that the government was way in on it.
Yeah.
And they had a lot of operatives, and
absolutely.
it wasn't just J. Harvey Oswald, Lee Harvey Oswald, excuse me. It could have been Jay.
His nephew.
At that point,
We don't know.
Could have been Jay and Lee there because they're brothers.
I will say, to answer your question, anything is possible. I'm trying to be more open-minded as I get older, and I want to say anything is possible. Where I was younger and more stubborn, I'm like, nope.
Hey, podcast listeners, Christmas season is coming, and if you're looking for a real way to give back and stay connected to our community here in Mercer County, start with the Salina Moose Lodge 1473. On Thursday, December 4th, they've got Steve Rosenbeck live. It's good music, good people, and that cozy holiday feel you'll only get around here. Then on December 14th, from 10 to 2, it's Snacks with Santa. Brooke told me it's literally Snacks with Santa. No breakfast, no dinner. It's Snacks with Santa. And don't forget Christmas. It's the Moose's holiday of giving back, where members and friends can jump in, supporting local communities, businesses, and making real impact close to home. If you love this community and you want to give back, get involved with the Salina Moose Lodge 1473. Today's guest is one of the most quietly dangerous creatives you'll ever meet. Reiner is a creative strategist, content director, executive producer, and full-blown studio builder who's been working at the intersection of entertainment and tech for over 20 years. He's launched and run motion graphic studios, video game studios, digital collectible products, and he's one of the rare people who can go from concept to camera to code without handing it off to somebody else. He's directed and produced music videos with artists like the Red Hot Chili Peppers, J-Lo, Pearl Jam, CeeLo Green, Michael Bublé, and more. And he's created brand stories for giants like Coca-Cola, Nike, Disney, Sony, Honda, Absolut, and Oreo. On the gaming side, he's also helped and published Smile Inc., that was the #1 free-to-play mobile game from Roman Atwood, Logan Paul and friends, and co-founded Lamo, a physical, or he calls it phygital, toy and game ecosystem that makes vinyl figures, AR, Web3, complete with licensing deals with names like Mr. Beast and Ninja. You've also been a DJ. You've worked with acts like deadmau5, RJD2, Reggie Watts, and somehow along the way became a photographer, a motion designer, a tinkerer, and a world traveler. This is a full gamut of things, but we're so excited that you took the time to come here and talk to us about a new era of creationism, a new era against AI and creating and against that. But thank you for being here again. It's wonderful to have you, Reiner, in the studio.
Where do you draw the line between AI as a tool that amplifies ideas and that it kind of crutch and replaces ideas that people may have in the first place? And can you think of any specific examples maybe where maybe you've done it with the good, and then maybe you've crushed it with maybe a lazy response of trying to use it maybe in a downtime or when you're in a funk?
It's a great question, by the way. There's a line that everyone has a line they won't cross. For instance, I grew up on a working farm slaughtering animals. I don't eat meat because of what I went through, watching my brother kill rabbits, and I had to go out and feed the pigs. So I draw a line, like I will not eat pig because I love pigs. I don't judge other people that eat pigs, but every now and then I'll say something like, I don't eat pigs. Like, you don't eat meat? I'm like, well, there's some meat you won't eat. I'm like, no, I eat all meat. I'm like, well, would you eat a horse? I'm like, maybe if I had to. Would you eat a dog? No, I won't eat a dog. I'm like, well, you have a line. So everyone has a line. So to your question specifically, where do you draw the line with AI? When you're trying to, as said earlier in the podcast, if it makes the edit, advertising is about manipulation. It really is. I mean, it sounds like a bad word, but it's about manipulation. And so AI, when you're using AI to manipulate facts and make people believe something happened that didn't happen, whether it's a celebrity, like I really struggle with all these Bob Ross videos. I laugh at them on TikTok where Bob Ross is playing video games. Have you seen him where he's playing PUBG?
I've seen him like do
he's playing PUBG. He's like, oh, that's a nice headshot. Oh, look at that little headshot. Like, it's super funny. Yeah, see, you guys laugh. I laugh too. Okay. And is it Bob Ross literally in a canvas with a joystick? And he's like, oh, look at that beautiful little headshot. It's super funny. But does Bob Ross's granddaughter think it's funny? So if you're hurting people, like, I'm laughing too. By the way, no judgment zone. Like, trust me, I've laughed at some very inappropriate things.
Hey, funny's funny.
Funny's funny, yeah.
I'm big on the humor's humor.
Absolutely. Funny or die. And, obviously it's a very political trend right now where we're trying to squash humor that's being used in ways that people don't like. So anyway, back to your question. Yeah, when you're hurting people with what you're putting out there, then that's where I draw the line. And at what point, how many people do you have to hurt? If you're hurting just Bob Ross's granddaughter and no one else in the world cares, then where is that line? Well, she holds a lot more value because she's a relative. So my point is, like, let's try to be cool, man. Like, be like Fonzie, just let's everyone be cool. And so it's really hard because where's that line you won't cross? I can't judge you for eating a cow, but can I judge you for eating a dog? Or how far are you going to take that? So at some point, we all.
So you're
have
making the
moral
argument
compass.
that like there's an ethical line,
It's a relative.
relative line of the top.
I struggle with Absolut,
And
I'm a big fan of relative.
But isn't that very difficult in an AI world?
It's impossible.
How do you measure?
You can't.
Right.
It's seriously, it's a matter of like, okay, so the government says alcohol is okay, but weed's not okay. Like, where do you draw the line between alcohol and weed? And again, I think alcohol is great. It's just there's so much
let's jump
inconsistency.
into like I'm not going to go too deep, but like the line is also made via news that's presented to people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Marijuana, like pertinent topic here for High Rider, like it was a class 1 narcotic.
Yep. And they call it a step-up drug. Yeah.
Right, but like if you go back and you research why marijuana became illegal was because like it was a threat. The hemp industry was a threat to the paper company.
Yeah.
Who was not the Rockefeller? I can't think of the name of the family that owned the paper.
Yeah, I
they
know
owned
you're talking-
paper
yeah.
and rail,
Right.
and
Yep.
they had a lot, right? Either way, they owned the newspaper because they owned the paper company. So they took a thing out that said marijuana was being smoked by Mexican dudes coming up to the U.S. and having their way with white women. Mm-hmm. So everyone said, "Oh, do away with this," and then politicians who grew up in that era then grow up later to be influential in their counties, et cetera, and then are passing legislation banning this thing as something that it's not. So I say to you, like, it's only available to the information that's presented. I know that was a tangent, but it goes to a point like ethics of AI is only going to be available to like what's being presented to you. Nobody's thinking about Bob Ross's daughter crying or granddaughter. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and even to some degree, there was advertising. There's an ad agency in Indianapolis. Their whole focus was having the rights to deceased celebrities. If anybody remembers Bing Crosby dancing with a Dyson vacuum cleaner, or there's a famous one of Steve McQueen and when they announced the brand new Mustang, which is now 10 years ago, but the vintage Mustang.
They put him in a Mustang?
They put him in a Mustang from Bullitt. So they put dead Steve McQueen in a brand new Mustang. And so are people cool with that? Well, apparently Steve McQueen's daughter was, because she gave up the rights to this ad agency. So, yeah, I used my dad in the new Mustang. Would Steve McQueen been cool with it? We'll never know. So at this point, if you're using other people's likenesses and manipulating them, like it happens all the time with even memes. I mean, that's what meme culture is. It's taking someone, the girl who's staying outside the burning house. I mean, how many times have we seen that meme being used for?
you know what I'm talking about, Bill? The little girl that's like,
And there's 100 of those.
The one on the swing too. I mean, there's a lot.
Yeah, or the stoner dude. I mean, there's like a gazillion. Know your meme. So knowyourmeme.com. So that's some form of manipulation as well. It's not AI. It's humans putting a caption over top of it. But so yeah, it's a question that we have to answer for ourselves. But of course, our society norms as well.
Our society norms will be different in Mercer County than it will be for outerlying counties until time passes, and then the county here adopts things that have been normal to bigger cities in the past. So,
And as it should be. It's a local thing. We should keep it local. I'm a libertarian. I'm a big believer in we need to have some standard rules that should apply to everybody, but then everyone in their own community needs to decide what's right for them.
yeah, I think it's a fair take. If you were a 17-year-old creative, starting today in the age of now Midjourney, Sora, ChatGPT, and all these tools that are out there. Okay, you're a creative. You've had an illustrious track record. What would you be worried about, and what would you be excited about?
Well, let me answer a question indirectly. Michael Jordan made
That doesn't sound like you at all. For those listening, they're probably like, well, he just answered the damn question.
Okay,
No,
so
it's good. I like it.
break the rules. So actually, you know what? Accidentally, I answered your question. Break the rules. Do it the way you think it should be done, and then let everyone else figure it out if it's the right thing. And you know what? You're gonna screw up. You're definitely gonna upset people. But what's the famous quote? Well-behaved women rarely make history, because if you just fall in line, then you're just doing what everyone else has done. You got to do it differently. And so, this is where I'm going to answer your question indirectly. I think I'm messing up the numbers here. Michael Jordan made $100 million playing basketball, made $1 billion being a basketball player. Why? His IP. So if you're an 18-year-old, create your own IP. Don't work for a living for sure, because you got to work and understand those ethics and what it takes, but keep your eye on the prize, which is the true value is in building something that you can truly own. Make money while you're sleeping.
So what do you think about Two Dads? Just
I think it's
general,
fantastic.
As a podcast, you're a big brand guy.
Oh,
and I think this is a
absolutely.
pertinent question, because I think this is, thanks for leading it here.
Yeah.
We got a podcast.
I love it.
We have a golf channel at some point. We have a gaming channel, review channel. A lot of channels that haven't deployed yet. Because I just know, as a visionary, I'm just trying to like get stuff in the future, because I'm like, we're gonna want this.
Yep.
I've done it with Mr. Beast and all those guys. There you go.
Yep.
I'm just bringing him up again. Bear's one of our guys.
Everybody do a
Like,
shot.
this one guy's like, you bring him up every week, and I'm like, yeah, whatever.
As you should.
What do you think?
I was in Shawshank
What do you
Redemption, by the
think?
way.
Yeah, exactly. What do you think about the brand as a whole? You look at Two Dads as a brand from the food side, and then you've seen the podcast side, and that's pretty much all we've deployed so far.
I'm going to give you two answers, biased and unbiased. First of all, I'm a huge fan of Mitch, and the friend of my friend is my friend.
That's Bill.
Guy. Yep,
That's Bill.
absolutely. Big fan of you. I learned about you from this podcast.
Appreciate
I
that.
devour content like a mofo. Like I literally fall asleep at 4 a.m. with my iPad, watching someone's podcast, watching a music video. I devour. I have a photographic memory, and I want to learn, like, how did they do that? I do that. So when Mitch first told me about his podcast, I don't know, like probably 6 months ago, we were on the phone.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah. He sent me, you got to check this out. You got to check this out. It was like probably episode 5 or 6 or something. And check this out.
It actually made it.
And I'm actually I'm a huge procrastinator. I'm the kid. I'm opposite of Reichert. I will not open a present. When someone gives me a present, I don't want to open it. I feel like anxious almost, like, oh, this is going to be really good. So
Yeah.
let me savor it for a while. So when you told me about your podcast, I knew it was going to be good. I've seen you stream. We've played video games. We go way back. I'm like, this is going to be good. I do not want to be disrespectful and watch it while I'm falling asleep or watch it while I'm driving, which, by the way, I do that on the
Which
way.
I prefer that, by the way. If I send you something or we put something out on social media, if you don't have time to watch it, don't
Yeah.
watch it right away. That's not how I build my content.
Absolutely. It's disrespectful. So finally I made time, and which I know that's, everyone can make time. And I was hooked, dude. The first episode I watched was with Brandon, and I was super hooked because as much as I know about you and Moby Dick and all that, I learned so much more, and then learned about you, of course. And then I went on to the guy, the Slip Mad guy. And I remember seeing him on Shark Tank because I fall asleep to Shark Tank. I love Shark Tank. I have a Google spreadsheet of my favorite episodes with
my
all
God.
links and quotes.
Tell me you're on the spectrum without telling me you're on the spectrum.
Dude, if you knew how many documents I had, I have so many Google spreadsheets.
I've seen Super 77. I
Yeah,
know.
every concert I've been to, I have it in a spreadsheet. I go to
I
a lot
didn't
of
know
concerts.
this. That's wild.
My buddy Reed, shout out Reed at Chunk Fat is his nickname. Former fat guy, now slim thick, I'll call him. But he's been
Having a
to
trademark out right now.
north of 1,000 concerts.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
And he has it's same thing in a spreadsheet. He goes by the location, by the band, by the venue, kind of in the same format. And then I think he plots out like the top 3 from the set he saw there.
No, that's awesome.
So they saw like the Billy Strings played the Edmund Fitzgerald song the other week
yeah.
over in either Boston or whatever.
Or in Lightfoot.
And he's just sitting there. He's just like, man, what I would have paid to be out there just to hear that. Because I think he's only played it like 3 times in live venue. So I think it's kind of like the funness of like just creative brains. Like that's a creative thing. Like it means nothing to anybody.
No.
They could see that and they'd say, oh, like,
Wow,
what
cool,
a-
you went to
Yeah,
concerts.
cool, you went to
Yeah, wow.
concert.
Yeah.
But like for me, like to look at that list from my friend
Yeah.
and like I know his passion. It's not my passion. But to see that list, I'm like, dude, you saw like these guys here? Like, what the hell were you doing in Tempe, Arizona
Yeah.
on a
Love that.
Tuesday?
There's
Like,
stories.
so, and he's like, oh, dude, let me tell you about that.
Yeah, there
I
you
went
go.
to a burger joint outside called Joe and Tony's,
Yeah.
and I had the best burger of my entire life. Like, I like this story.
Yeah, stories are great.
And he's always said, and I've bought into this philosophy, without questions asked, buy the ticket, take the ride. Someone asks you to do it, buy the effing ticket, take the ride. Regardless of what the agenda is. Mitch says, hey, we're going to fly out to Denver and we're going to snowboard for 3 days. Do you want to come? As long as it's cool everywhere, family-wise, buy the ticket, take the ride. Don't know what we're going to get into there. You get out there. Hey, the Broncos are home Sunday. You want to go to the Broncos game? Yeah, screw it. We don't care about the Broncos and the Chargers, but let's go to the game, right? So just go out there, be adventurous, get off your couch.
Yeah.
Like, just go do things. Like, life experiences are way more valuable than anything
100%.
you'll ever do
My favorite
inside your
quote.
home.
sorry to interrupt, but my
No, you're
favorite
good.
quote from David Letterman is, best education you can ever give yourself is travel. Absolutely. Because first of all, it truly does bring the world together, and then you can finally prove that Paris exists. But understanding other cultures, and you mentioned I just got back from Japan, which is, I've been to every continent except for Antarctica, and I've probably been to about 50 countries.
You're not allowed to go there.
Yeah, you can't fly over.
Can't fly to Antarctica.
Yeah, I know.
You want to jump into another one? Another conspiracy theory?
I know, yeah, exactly. So I grew up in, again, very lower middle class family, but I've always had the travel bug. I think in 1 year I went to Cuba for 4 weeks, went to Thailand for 6 weeks, and I went to Argentina for 4 weeks, and that was just in 1 year. You name it. So my point is, those stories, like interacting with people and having those memories, and obviously if you can share it with someone, with like a life partner or with a friend or your family, that's so important. So hopefully, as Reichert starts getting older, you can expose them to those things, and just even come to Salina, dude. I was asked Mitch. I wish I had my medic glasses in the back so I couldn't record, but we're going down to Main Street. I was like a puppy dog, right? I had the window rolled down, looking like, oh my God, when was that theater built? Holy shit, look at that church. Can you stop? I got to take a photo of that church. Is that a police station inside the fire station? It's like everything was just, oh my God, look how busy that bar is. Like, what? There's so many. I said, what day is it? Tuesday? That place is packed. So I was like, you can hear my energy right now. I was so stoked to
Dude,
learn
you
more
are
about.
pumped right now. I'm messing with the dials. I'm like, that's my man's living.
I'm going to do this. I'm going to get closer and then further away and closer. So, I just love a good story. And so everybody has a story to tell. It doesn't matter how small or big the town is. There's something to be unearthed. And the thing that drives me crazy, the thing I have FOMO in, is missing stories. Like, it drives me crazy to know that I've never been to that town. You're like, come up here for a week. There's so much to do. I'm like, done. So I just got to figure out if I can actually do it, because that's the reality of
Let me
life.
spin this a weird way.
I'm going to cut you off real quick because I got a good one. So I think I went to every major league ballpark before I was 18. My dad passed when I was 18.
I heard that story.
So life stories that I'll never forget and never would have had an opportunity. This is a hot take from a relationship standpoint. My wife and I haven't bought each other Christmas gifts, I think, in 7 years.
Love that.
Not for monetary value, that we decide we're going to go on a trip and an experience, and we do not buy gifts.
Love that.
And if anybody had any marriage advice to anybody out there, go do that.
Dude,
like
100%.
just say, hey babe, where are we going this winter? And we usually travel in December through February. My birthday's in December, Christmas is there, our anniversary's in January. We kind of just lump them together and we say, let's go here. We've never been here.
Yeah.
And that's, for a travel sake, that's life advice I would give. And not to cut Mitch off, but back to Mitch.
No, you're good. And it's Mitch with the weather.
And back to Mitch.
So let me ask you this, just because it's interesting you talk about all these distraction stuff. Like, I'm trying to rephrase the questions. Like, how do you stay creative? Like, if you're a 17-year-old listening, like, what's one skill they can double down on to, like, not replace the authenticity to themselves, but that AI can't replicate,
Right.
because they're going to grow up in this culture.
So back to your question from 20 minutes ago about an 18-year-old, myself or some other 18-year-old, is embrace fear. So earlier I said, be okay making mistakes, but you have to embrace fear. That is the number one emotion that people think is a bad emotion. I mean, there's obviously hate and other things, but I'm talking about, like, fear is so, yes, obviously there's people who just have natural fear of flying and things like that. That's a tougher thing to overcome. But so many people just have self-doubt. And if you're a creative, you cannot have self-doubt. You cannot, back to my earlier comment about raising your hand, if you think you're creative, put your hand up. Don't worry about what other people think. There's so much judgment out there, and the internet has just made it a gazillion times worse. Talking about tools that are used for good and bad, I really struggle with social media. Like, it's such a great tool. It connects so many people and it gives people an opportunity to express themselves. But man, there's just so much bad use of social media. So when I hear parents saying, yeah, I don't let my kid on social media just yet, I love that, because I just hear Gary Vee saying, no, every kid should have a tablet in their hand because they need to learn how to use it. I'm like, I understand that point of view as well. But man, it's just like, there's so much judgment going on out there, and kids are so fragile. And unfortunately, that's just part of growing up, is having self-doubt. And so fear is something we need to embrace. Everyone needs to embrace it.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
No, I love it. Riker's got computer classes at school and things like that. We had a PS5 here when he was probably 5 or 6. I don't remember when it was. And we saw behavioral changes with him just with video games, right? And
Yeah, we see that with the kids.
pros and
all the time.
cons, right? But we saw behavioral changes in him, and I'm very matter of fact disciplined. Here's how we do things. You can have this in abundance if you're able to handle X, Y, and Z. Got rid of the PlayStation after about 3 months and said, "You're done. You need to be a kid. Go be a kid."
I love that.
He doesn't own an iPad. He doesn't have a phone. That's a scary thought, right? When do kids That's a fun question. For
Let's ask the people out there. Go
because
ahead.
If you have a kid, what's the age appropriate starting point for a cell phone? And I'm not talking you're restricted like beepers where you can only call mom during an emergency. I'm saying getting exposed to texting, Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram, like you talk.
So with that context, pose the question.
What is the appropriate age for a child to begin using cell phones?
That's a great question. I don't know. Because I think it gets younger the more the tech develops.
Because Izzy's 7, right?
7.
Riker's 8. So, and Riker says there's kids at school already that have cell phones in his class. And I tell him, I said, who do we worry about?
Well,
he's like, ourselves.
Let me interrupt you on this. And first of all, I'm going to interrupt myself, which is one of my favorite quotes. I like to
How do you even
myself.
do it?
I know. So Mac and Izzy. So Mitch takes me a tour of his basement. And I see a drum set, and I inappropriately stereotype and say,
Did you touch my drum set?
I'm going to put my balls on your drum set.
I mean, we just become best friends. So I said, does Mac play drums? He's like, no, it's Izzy. I'm like, first of all, I'm an idiot for just making that assumption. Second of all,
Mitch Jr. plays the drums.
That's amazing that Izzy plays drums. I freaking love that because it's a tactile skill. And that skill, she could become the greatest drummer of all time.
Where we watered, I guess, she's just trying a little bit of everything like her dad. You know what I mean? It's Mitch. It's weird how genetics is a whole. We don't have a geneticist on. He's going to be able to talk to us about parents who notice how similar their kids are. You know what I mean? To
nature and nurture.
Riker doesn't listen to his crap. He's just like his mom.
Let me address something you said about when kids should have a phone. This is a very controversial thing I'm about to say on purpose, but also who gets to decide that? Because, for instance, society has decided that nudity, swearing, and violence should have a certain regulation in movies, and therefore kids cannot see that at a certain age, whether it's PG-13 or R. So parents don't get to decide that, actually. It's society decides that. So how far away are we with cell phones as well? Like where content could be provocative, who decides when kids get to see that? Is it parents? Yes, I would say yes. But there's some people who say, well, government needs to be involved as well, and say, no, kids can't have a mobile phone until they're a certain age because you can't drive until you're 16, can't have a gun until a certain age, can't drink until you're a certain age. Government makes those decisions.
I think the government probably profits off a lot of cell phones and things that come with cell phones, so I would say they're not going to regulate that.
We're starting to get close to Rogan podcast at this point. We're over here talking about dudes in here. We're just like, and what about this? And you're like, you know about that? Yeah, I know about that. These guys know about that? We know about that.
If you take chances, you have a good chance to also reward yourself and those people around you. Also, culture is everything. And culture is so important. Being respectful of those people, what they're contributing, being empathetic of what they're going through. Everyone has a personal life, and not just looking at people as a cog in a machine. Steve Jobs, I read his autobiography or semi-autobiography or whatever it was, and I had friends that worked for him, and I heard the stories all the time. He made people cry, like literally in meetings. One of my friends, Barry, worked for him directly, and my old roommate from Ohio State is head of design for Apple. Like anything you have a problem with your iPhone, it's my old roommate probably was involved in it, and he still works for Apple. So I was super close to that culture.
That's a wild sentence, by the way.
I know. So you said earlier, I was an Apple evangelist. So in the early 80s, when the first iMac came out, for the first Macintosh, I begged my parents to get one. I didn't get one until a few years later, but I said, once I got ability, I'm going to really invest in Apple. I spent easily probably $500,000 on Apple products in my studios. I'm not exaggerating. Software.
Shit.
I mean, just one computer alone is going to be $4,000. I bought hundreds of those for my studios. I've had studios for 25 years, so the math is very exponential.
You wonder why your Apple stock has gone up.
Oh yeah, I mean it's insane how much money I've spent. $500,000 is probably not even the right number. I bought in 1998 when Steve came back to Apple. I think in '96 he got fired, as you know, famously from John Scully, who basically was the Pepsi CEO, and then Steve hired Scully, who fired Steve. Steve came back. I'm like, Steve's back. I believe in this company. I'm going to buy stock. I bought $250 of Apple stock, which was a lot of money to me at that time. $250 of Apple stock, which I sat on. I'm not trying to brag about numbers because I'm not a money guy at all. I drive a 2004 truck outside.
No, you collected at the right time. That's all you're saying. You're the kid that gets a Pokemon card. He's like, oh yeah, I have the Shadowless $1 million card. Yeah. I didn't know.
I also bought $250 of Palm Pilot stock, if you even know what the hell that is.
How's that one doing?
No one went to zero. That was zero. But $250 of Apple stock in 1998, I never cashed it out, is like $45,000 now.
Nice.
So of course, do the math. If you would, we've all had those Pokemon cards and we've all had those opportunities. So if I would have believed in myself, because my friends at the time were saying, don't buy Apple stock. It's going away. Microsoft is going to squash them. And I was like, okay, yeah, I saw it, because back to my Steve Jobs comment, that guy was maniacal at building a company, which I'm not, because I truly believe in culture first. He believed in product first and building an amazing company at any expense. He would fire people on the spot for doing the wrong thing, make people cry. And is he a better person for it or a worse person? That's not for me to decide, but obviously he built a world-changing company. And so was he happy with himself? We'll never know. But you guys look like the kind of guys who really believe in culture as well, like truly relationship first, business second. Hopefully you can do them both at the same time.
I was going to ask you on that one. It's one thing I've done really well in my professional career is be able to create a culture, winning in and outside of the office walls, right? But to the same point, do you think that companies can do both? Do you think they can do the Steve Jobs approach by also creating a culture of inclusion, of empathy and things like that? Because I firmly believe you do. I just think it takes a lot of mentoring and accountability, and really defining expectations. Because to me, if the standard's here and everybody knows the standard, and I let Mitch go because he lived below the bar for too long, and I'm a firm believer in coaching and mentoring and getting you to the bar, but eventually, the reality of the world is some people just don't care. Do you think you can do both? Do you think you can have a Steve Jobs approach and kind of a your approach and still have a successful company? Because it's a pretty fine line, I think.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of unicorns out there that can do that. And I won't name names, but obviously society is full of amazing entrepreneurs, from Jensen at NVIDIA and obviously Elon Musk. But he's built in, irregardless of his politics, he's very polarizing, but the dude's a genius, what he's been able to pull off. And so to your question has a lot of nuance. There's founder-based companies that stay private, and then there's publicly held companies, of course, that you're responsible for shareholders and constantly have to innovate and drive revenue for your shareholders. And of course, there's private equity, as you mentioned. There's family equity. There's VCs. So depending on how you build your company, there's different answers for each of those situations. Once you start bringing in outside people like VCs, private equity, or shareholders through publicly traded, then you have a different set of responsibilities. And at that point, you got to be a little more cutthroat. Hiring people is hard, firing people is easy. And I know that seems like such an obvious statement, but when the time is right to let someone go. But to bring someone in and go blindly, like you hope, you have faith that that person fits into the culture, that their resume, and this ties it back to AI, by the way. There's so much deep fake out there right now. Like, I remember this was a funny little thing. Tom Cruise in his portfolio, when he's still trying to get hired, he put in that he was like a roller skating champion, but no one could fact check it. So everyone thought he's like this roller skating champion. Then years later, he's like, I totally lied. I wasn't a roller skating champion. But now you can fact check that. But unfortunately, AI is so good right now that you can get AI to fool AI, which is the ultimate, meta situation, when AI becomes so good that you can't even use AI to detect AI. So hiring people is really freaking hard. And it's all about relationships and understanding and hoping that that culture syncs up together. But ultimately, you have to have some kind of barometer to decide, okay, yep, we're going to work together, and then figure it out. And then, within 6 months, it falls apart. I'm sure both of you guys have been in professional relationships. We thought, this is the greatest thing ever. We're going to rule the world. And a couple months later, like, okay, that didn't work out.
Well, here's a question I have for you guys, because I brought a little mini game, and it's going to be powered by HighRider. We're going to get to talking to HighRider real quick, but I think this is a perfect segue for this little mini game I like to bring in. This is Reiner versus Bill. It's pertinent, okay, guys? This one is presented by HighRider. It doesn't matter. I've been taking a few of them myself, I guess. This minigame is brought to you by HighRider. It's our 2-ounce liquid edibles designed for control, not chaos. Faster than gummies, smooth, predictable, and no hangover. You got to be 21 plus or older, and please enjoy responsibly. We'll get into that here in a minute. But here's how this game works, okay? We're playing a HighRider minigame called AI or HighRider, okay?
AI or HR?
It's right. We don't have one yet. I'm going to read 5 lines that sound like marketing for HighRider. Some of these lines are real HighRider copy, and the others are written by AI. So, Reiner, it's going to be... Bill, I'm going to give you a pass if you get 0 right. Reiner, I'm going to give you nothing if you get them all wrong. It's terrible. Bill and our guest will guess each one. You just have to let me know AI or HighRider. We'll keep score, and the loser, I don't know, you'll take us out to the Willow afterwards or something. You're a big fan of that. Yeah.
I want to check it out.
Yeah,
Big Fritz, baby.
Big Fritz, baby. Okay. Here's the quote, and you tell me if it's HighRider or AI. Are you guys ready?
Born ready.
Born ready, okay. THC designed for control, not chaos.
After what I learned earlier,
High rider or
I am
AI?
going to say that it is AI because if you use the words THC, it gets flagged in ads. It's an liquid edible.
Reiner?
That is unfortunately not AI. It's written by my partner.
That's okay. It's good. That's good. Again, Bill gets the pass. Bill, you were
that's a tough
golden
one.
today.
The conversation we had earlier, I was like, oh.
Your logic was sound. The difference is organic. There's certain things you can say in different platforms, and so you can't say THC in a certain environment.
That's okay. We got that one. Next one. A tiny 2-ounce bottle that kicks in quick, tastes like tropical punch, and lets you fine tune your night sip by sip. Reiner's face. You're just like, oh.
It's catchy. I like it. I'm going AI.
Okay, and Reiner?
I'm gonna have to say AI because I don't know that one.
It's AI. Okay, that's good. Okay, let's get.
It was really good though.
Yeah, I'm making a point here. Here we go. I'm sort of making a point there.
AI advertising.
That's right. The better way to catch a buzz. Is that AI or is that high rider?
It's short and sweet. I think it's a high rider.
Man, that's another tough one because it's so close. I'm gonna say it's AI.
It's high rider. Well done, Bill. You could go. This is the best game show I've ever had where we put AI up against a human who's actually working on the brand. Here we go. All right. Smooth, predictable lift, no hangover, and way fewer calories than that usual weekend cocktail. Is that AI or high rider?
That one's high rider.
Man, it's so close to one of our taglines, but I'm gonna say it's AI.
That is AI. It's actually built off the no hangover plus calorie versus alcohol comparison put out by one of your
I know.
ads.
That was close. That was close. I knew that
Dude,
one.
this is kind of freaking me out. I'm
I
not
know.
gonna lie.
This is
it's kind of freaking me out. All right.
Oh my God.
And the last one. Turn any drink into a mellow, dialed-in vibe. Just mix, sip, and let the night get lighter. Is that AI or high rider?
I'm going to say AI because the mix. Yeah, I don't think you mix them.
These are so close. I'm gonna say that one's high rider.
That's AI.
Oh my God.
That is inspired by your turn any drink into a vibe positioning from Facebook. Dude, it's giving me the links. It's giving me the dude,
Wow.
That's a beautiful little thing there. That is our mini game where you guys can see how freaky AI actually is.
That's trippy,
And shout out to High Rider. We want to talk about this. We brought some sponsors in. Look, we're trying to drink less alcohol here on the show, outside of the show. I always have one or two, and even then, we're looking for some fun sponsors that could come in and shake it up here. So instead of going out, we're in our 30s. We don't go to the bars as much anymore. So High Rider's an interesting chaos-free vibe. If you're 21 or older and it's legal where you are, which it is here in our state, you can check them out at drinkhighrider.com and you can enjoy them in your cocktails. You can just have a sip and stuff. Ryder, you want to talk about it real quick? We don't do free brand deals here, but this isn't a free brand deal, so I give you the stage for once we do this. Tell them about the product real quick. You've been working on this, and then I'll jump into the guest intro for you.
Yeah, appreciate that. Just quick background. I grew up the youngest of three, and my brother and sister were heavy partiers, so I never partied. I never drank, never did drugs, and I'm talking like most of my life. There was a short period of time where I drank a little bit of alcohol because I got into tiki culture pretty heavily. And
All right.
I know, right?
Never been to a good tiki bar?
Coconut Hut right here on Grand Lake.
Hashtag Coconut Lake.
No free brand deals, Randy.
And so, fast forward, I got involved in a non-alcoholic beer company and helped build that brand up.
That was Good Liar, for those of you who remember. In the early podcast, Good Liar, Reiner was a big hand in that. So then you transitioned from Good Liar to this.
To High Rider. So I had some friends who've been in the cannabis industry for a while, and they helped, try and move it through Ohio laws, and they're mostly based in Michigan. And they saw an opportunity because of the Farm Bill of 2018. I'll skip all the details, but basically it was a bill that was creating a cash crop for farmers, specifically down south. But there was a loophole that people were, let's say, taking advantage of, which allowed a trace amount of THC to be sold outside of dispensaries and basically let the states decide. The government at the time said, let's have the states decide what they want to do. And so there was a handful of states that, we're cool with it. Selling it at truck stops, selling at convenience stores. Problem is there was lack of regulation. So,
we're seeing that now in Ohio. If
Yeah.
you see that they're pulling them off all the shelves in like liquor stores and stuff. And even here in Mercer County, like the liquor stores that had them on the shelf that, some people may not be approachable here with that topic. That's fine, but the world's changing. So
DeWine, who is Republican, surprisingly did do an executive order that pulled it off a shelf. So back in the dispensaries, and not to get into conspiracies, but there's a lot of money involved in any industry, and certainly this has a lot of money involved.
They definitely played the loophole of like, oh, well, it technically has this, and it's unregulated industry, which anything on the corner of a gas station, you know, like those little like 5 Hour Energy
Rhino pills.
Yeah, just like what's the wiener pills that are like, this is horny goat. You can get like, dude, you're telling me that's regulated by wine, but there's like these like really nice compressed cans and like really form fitting and stuff is good or no?
There's two sides to every story, and for sure there's a play for. There's a lot of bad actors putting out bad products, unfortunately, and there's people like us who are trying to do it right. We have lab testing, independent lab testing. Product is, all the ingredients that you see are on the label, and we try and keep as few ingredients as possible. So basically, cutting to the chase, is we saw an opportunity to create a product for people who are either trying to get off of alcohol or have other things that they're trying to take care of in their life, which is maybe having sleep issues or maybe looking for some kind of pain relief and trying to avoid anxiety, travel anxiety. Pharma is kind of unfortunately, I think, a little too ingrained in our culture. So I personally grew up also not taking a lot of medicine and also not taking a lot of drugs. So it's kind of weird now. I'm in this product that is kind of trying to solve both those itches. Yeah, I'm a walking contradiction. So like you said, I think the title of this podcast is To Be Continued. I'm a big believer in the journey, not the destination. I hope I never reach my goals. I never want to set a goal that I'm going to reach, but I do love setting goals, but I also don't reach them. Maybe it's part of my ADHD, or maybe it's part of, just like looking for the next big shiny thing. So at the same time, I was using the term earlier, bleeding edge. I've definitely always been on that edge. I grew up in a very, very small farm town, born in Germany, immigrant parents, never went to college, grew up on a working farm right outside of Akron. And we were the first family, this is going to say how old I am, first family to have a VCR and a camera. And it was basically back when they were separate. The VCR was here and the camera was here. And so I had it in television at the time, which I basically begged my mom to buy me, and I got into video game culture, and we'd set the camera up on the TV, and we'd film each other playing MLE baseball or whatever it was at the time.
Do you have it in television still?
Oh, yeah. I have all the video game systems.
I have one at my house.
Do you really?
Yeah.
I still have my original one. That's
cool.
Awesome. Yeah, I have a museum of Jurassic technology. I have every video game system from 1977 to 2005, every one of them. I think you came to my studio where I had those set up.
Super 77 is a spot in Columbus. When you lived there, that was like a playground for me. I mean, you had a skee ball, VR, old Apple phones that came out.
Yeah, every Apple phone ever.
Ever.
Yeah, from day one. I waited in line at Easton Mall to get the very first iPhone, which was stupid that I did that, but got the very first iPod that ever came out. And I remember showing it to my friends, and they're all making fun of me because at the time we were DJing, and they're like, "You're cheating. That's not DJing," because they're all hauling around 500-pound suitcases of records, and I had, as they say, 5,000 songs in my pocket, and I just plug it in and I DJ. Is it cheating? Yeah, it's losing the craft of what it was originally intended to be, but
But you've always been ahead of the curve. That's basically what I want listeners to take it away from this, is you've always sort of looked for the next shiny object. Yeah. Today's topic, we're obviously going to be talking about AI and creationism and how that all kind of intersects at the world of humans adapting. But I can tell you that just knowing you personally, like you have constantly been on the cutting edge of new stuff. You had the VR systems when they came out before it was anything. You developed mobile games at a time when mobile was kind of figuring out what it was, even pre-Candy Crush. Mm-hmm. I mean, you've always been sort of adapting and innovating in these industries. So I'm really excited to have him on today to talk about more of how we can learn from AI, how we can learn to be better creators, to use the tool without losing kind of who we are.
Yeah. I just kind of thought of a really cool video game concept. The Two Dads Like Food, where you go around and you have a food truck that go into a different event.
Pac-Man.
And then you have the ability for Berkey to like tilt the salt, and whether it's too much salt or not enough salt. Now you guys will feel how Berkey feels when he gets yelled at for not enough or too much salt.
It's perfect. We can put the little vests on they have now, and it punches you in the chest. You know what I mean? They have these little add-ons to video games where it feel like Rumble Packs.
We'll call it Chicken Time. There'll be a little Bill running around on a maze, and we'll have like the different layers of the sandwich, and they'll fall on top of each other and kill the bad guys.
Here's our new app.
Coming in 2026. All right, what you got here, big dog? I'm excited.
All right, we're going to do a little unboxing. So this is my first time physically seeing my own product. I have not seen it yet in real life. So this just arrived from UPS this morning.
What does that even mean?
I know. Okay, so when we launched in June, only 4 months ago, our first products are right here. This is High Rider. It's a 10 milligram citrus and a 10 milligram.
I'm not allowed to hold them up too close to the camera. Josh gets mad because I can't hold them close, but there you go.
Yep.
I like the box. Citrus vibe.
Yep. Citrus vibe. So those are our first two boxes, but they didn't have much of a story to tell. And as I said, branding is about telling stories. So we decided to come out products that had a little more of a functionality to them. So this is my first time seeing these three.
He's not even joking. It's still got the packaging in it and the packing slip.
So like you haven't seen these before as far as
No,
the new packaging?
I saw the proof. I had to approve the proofs, the digital proofs and
but
the
this is
physical
the
proofs.
print.
I've never actually seen it physically assembled.
This is literally going like no free brand deals.
for
Like
you?
this is like it's for us.
Yeah, this one's for you.
Oh, beautiful.
Swap them like baseball
50
cards later.
milligram mega shot.
I'm glad this is 20. I might not
Oh
die.
my god.
But 100 milligrams caffeine.
Oh, it's got some caffeine in
Yeah,
it too.
so this one's
So
like
this one's an energy shot. What's the difference between the energy and the mega
that one.
shot?
That
Or-
one's a high dose, 50
a
milligram
look.
CBD, 50 milligram THC.
We're just moving them around.
So this one's a little more shareable, depending on what your tolerance is. Like I said, normally I don't get high in my own supply, but if I were to use that, 10 milligram is my cutoff.
Okay.
And so you got each bottle will have five doses of 10
rips.
milligram. Yep.
Yeah.
I've tried these
literally my
before.
first time
You'd
seeing
he'd
these in
sent
a
these to us to check them out. They're pretty cool. I mean,
So what is? Let's just for the people at home. What is one of these? Do you have these priced out? Like,
It's,
if I were to buy these at a store, not a gas station anymore, right? In Ohio, if I went to a
You
dispensary,
can go to Tennessee, Florida, Texas, and buy them in a store.
you can do anything you want in Florida, just for reference.
Yeah, Florida, man.
What's a 12-pack cost versus just a bottle necessarily?
Bottle is $6.99 of the 50 milligram. That's $5.99, and then the 12-pack is about $80. That's called $84.
I mean, how many beers would you drink in a night that would get you a nice buzz around here? I mean, let's just say
More than
minimum
seven- more than
six or seven.
$7
Yeah,
worth.
exactly.
I know lots of people who miss the social quality of holding a can in their hand, and obviously there's a lot of tonics out there that have THC in it, but they want it to be in a beer, and you can't really put THC in a beer. It's just federally illegal.
Yeah.
But what they do is they mix this with a non-alcoholic beer. So a friend of
So
mine
what's
puts
the
this-
goal? What's the goal? Just to get people to drink less alcohol? Like what's your initial goal?
The goal, scratch that itch. We want to be solution forward. There's lots of people out there that are just looking for social alternatives. And if I was going to break this down, this is fast, discreet, effective, predictable. So let's say you're transitioning from traditional cannabis products like smoking or vapes or edibles, gummies. Gummies are so unpredictable. This one is
I can't do them.
Yeah, I can't either. First of all, I don't like how it makes me feel.
I
And
get
it's just unpredictable.
super anxiety.
I get massive paranoia. But the other thing, I'm just an impatient person. I'm high energy. And I'm like 10 minutes in, I'm like, this didn't work. Let me take another one. And 30 minutes later, I'm completely, in the tank.
You just melted into the couch.
Yeah, absolutely. Rabbit holing. Yeah. What do you think? What's your first reaction? And be honest. Honest answers only.
Orange. I'm not a creamsicle guy, Berkey. Sorry about that, but I don't. It tastes very good. I mean, I don't taste anything in it that would make me think, how you get to these products and they're like, they just taste like a skunk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It tastes quite nice. I like that you have like the measurement side, so I know how much I'm taking on here. I'm just trying it just for fun.
Yeah, and credit goes to my partner, Phil. So he's based in Chicago, and we used a flavor formulator in Chicago that we worked with, TBI. And so we spent a lot of days there tweaking this. They literally come out of the lab with eyedroppers and tweak the formula right in front of us. And the first time we did this, we were completely high. But at the end of the day, we had a spittoon. We had to spit it out. I was tanked for like 2 days just from the taste test.
That's crazy.
And didn't drink a single ounce.
I will say that I'm noticing, even in our small county, people are moving more toward it. I think the stigma is going away. Like the initial, like, you're a pothead and you're gonna go smoke behind the dumpsters in the restaurant or something. Like, it's kind of going away as a younger generation moves up. But at the same time, I think I talked to a guy the other day. He's got pain. He's got a sciatic nerve, and he was sitting with me, and he's watching some people play pickleball. And I just looked at him, and I was like, "What are you gonna do?" And he's like, "Well, I'm taking some pain mitigation stuff and managing it that way." And I basically asked him, I'm like, "You ever considered like marijuana and stuff?" He goes, "Yeah, I actually like." So like the conversation.
Yeah, I'm high right now. He said.
Yeah. Do you want to hit this or not? Like, no, but that seems like it would be a weird thing years ago. Like, that doesn't feel
the
like
social stigma. There's a documentary about 15 years ago. It was on Netflix called Cultural High, and it basically was a really good documentary and just kind of really highlighted how people viewed alcohol versus marijuana. At the time, marijuana hadn't yet become legal, and so there's still a huge stigma. And people are talking about going out drinking like it's never a problem. But I would never touch a joint. I'm like, is it really that big of a difference? Yeah, there is. There is a difference, of course. But honestly, when it comes down to it, they're both intoxicating substances. It's just a matter of like what the after effects are. And personally, I think alcohol has a much harsher after effect than
I didn't
cannabis.
anticipate talking about this that much, but I do appreciate it because I think this is something. I'm not trying to push a forward agenda here in Mercer County that you should start to take liquid edibles instead of drink and stuff like that. But I do think we're sort of past time where maybe it is time to start considering the alternatives.
Yeah, I just think like being open about anything, right? Like everybody's got their own opinions, right? Like all the way down to the Wawa in Salina, right? Like some
Right,
people love
right,
that, some
exactly.
people hate it. So you're going to have a divided opinion on everything
yeah.
in the entire world other than the Ohio State Buckeyes, right? So go Bucks, beat Michigan. We're recording this before the game, just as an FYI. So when we win 42-7, everybody will know. But I
under.
think the stigma,
Josh yelled at me for that, by the way.
I don't care.
He's like, "Stop saying that this is recorded. Nobody wants to."
But I think the stigma, like for me right now, is especially okay. So in real estate, right, it's legal to smoke weed. It is against your lease to smoke inside of our units at any capacity, whether it's vape, weed, or cigarettes. But then I have a ton of tenants who are upset in a common hallway when someone goes outside, smokes a J, reeks of marijuana, and then walks back through the apartment complex and the smell of it.
That's an issue.
I think the smell, I mean, you'll never get away from the leaf naturally smelling, right? But
Sure.
I think the ability to kind of conceal it a little bit through a high rider shot, obviously, or potentially an edible of sorts is nicer because they can be more discreet about it, especially in public places, which is kind of nice.
Yeah. You can sneak this in. I mean, hate to say it, but you can take this through TSA. It's below.
I saw your videos.
Yeah, there you go.
Took some like
there's
reels
no,
and stuff.
No metal,
Really?
and it's below 2
Yeah.
ounces, below 3.5 ounces. And yeah, I take it on a plane, and then I'm on a flight, and I order a can of Sprite, put this in the Sprite, and I have a slow sipper cocktail, and it cuts the travel anxiety.
I mean,
That's
hey,
wild.
listen. Two Dads podcast is always going to be progressive. We're always going to be pushing the fine lines of. Do you need to hear it? Maybe, maybe not. But you know, considering something, if you're looking for an alternative this January, as a lot of people give up alcohol or try to give up alcohol, I'm only showing this. We're only showing this as an alternative. You make
Judgment-free zone.
Judgment-free zone, whether you choose it or not. I'm going to try it. I think this will be nice. It's nice to veg out. It's nice to relax, and it's nice to be able to relax.
Yep.
And I think this is a better alternative than having these 2 cans of Busch Lights that I have every time I come out here, and I have to ask myself why. I looked at your IMDb, and it says people call you
First
Reamer.
off, that's awesome that you have one.
Yeah.
I think
I
it might be
knew
the
that
first
either.
guest that has one.
He's got an IMDb,
yeah.
okay? And it says that your nickname is Reamer. I've never heard that before, and I've known you for a decade. But you've got this trademark Reamer name, and you also wear gas station attendant looks most of the time.
I have a huge
right?
collection, like 70 gas station
What's
shirts.
the story behind the nickname and that visual identity for yourself? Let's set the tone for people.
So-
Tell them who you are.
So, my name is Reiner. Born in Germany, did not speak English when I went to kindergarten, and so my kindergarten teacher renamed me Tim because she couldn't pronounce my name because my name is actually pronounced Reiner. And so I was Tim for about a year as I was learning English. That definitely created a little bit of a stigma in the town I grew up in. Fast forward, grew up in a very small farm town, ended up going to school at Ohio State, and ended up getting to grad school and trying to figure out what I want to do with my life. At that time, being German, I thought engineering was the right path because I like to build things. And so technology was always a part of my life ever since I've been little. But I was really into content creation. I even documented all my lab experiments and so on and so on. And so fast forward, I decided, I'm going to take an unpaid internship at a huge production company in Columbus called Mills James. And Ken Mills, the namesake of Mills James, changed my life because he took me on as an unpaid intern where I really had no right to work there. Learned my skills very quickly, and I happened to catch the first wave of the Web 1.0 as I call it, which is e-com, which is late 90s, early 2000s. And I transitioned all the way from Web 1 to Web 2, all the way to Web 3, as you mentioned, NFTs and whatever it's going to take us to next. But my thing, as you said earlier, I've always been on the bleeding edge. And I think I was able to hop from one idea to another and really embrace it. And I think my evangelistic tendencies to get other people to be part of the party were always part of my strength. So I think if I had one superpower, it was that I can build a really good team, put together people with incredible talent. And I would include Mitch in that because Mitch and I have worked together a few times on some ventures in the past. And we're going to work together again pretty soon and hope to bring you in that fold as well.
That'll be great.
So I'm a huge fan of strength in numbers. And I'm also a huge fan of full transparency. It used to drive me crazy when I worked somewhere and people want to keep secret what they're doing, like keep their secret sauce locked up like Coca-Cola. And obviously there's financial rewards for doing that to some degree. But I think we're in an age of enlightenment where I think society could be better if we all just get along. And I know it's such a cheesy cliche thing to say, but sharing information is so huge. And we're supposed to be in this information age. And obviously in the late 70s, Silicon Valley gang, Gates and Jobs and all those guys and Larry Ellison, if that's his name from Oracle, they shared all their information early on. And that's what, basically spawned the whole home computer era was sharing information, but then very quickly money got involved in public trading. And now I think we're in such a competitive, hyper-competitive society that people kind of lost track of what the big picture is for humanity. So bringing this back to AI, I think what AI does is it really empowers people. It empowers people to do things that maybe they couldn't necessarily do because of lack of skill or lack of tools. Unfortunately, the downside of that is people who do have those skills and do have those tools are getting, their margins are getting cut into. And I think it's, the big scare right now, which I think is overhyped, is that AI is taking away jobs. I don't agree with that, because that's like saying digital cameras took away photographers' jobs. Well, just be better, become a better photographer. Tools are not replacing people. It's people who know how to use those tools are replacing people, and just become one of those people.
I love that.
I love that too.
Adjust with the times. I do, before I ask my question, I do the word reamer. Right? That hit me home.
I have a story behind that.
Do you, is it around basketball?
Oh, no, it's good. No,
That's
it's
a
just
great reference.
Because I was like, reamer, I sat here, and if you look at the cameras, I looked at my phone, I'm like, I'm 100% positive. I just looked it up. I'm like, yeah, that is reamer off basketball. So
I gotta wish.
I didn't know. Like, I didn't know.
Will you hit 4 home runs for me, Coop?
My favorite part of that whole movie, and if anybody, we're getting sidetracked here, but my favorite when he's going to do the psych out, right? And he's like, hey, Squeak slept with your mom last night. He's like, my mom's dead. He's like, explains why she didn't move much.
I still reference that one.
I've used that line too many times. I know. Yeah.
Steve Perry. Steve Perry.
That's a good comeback, though.
Steve Perry. Steve Perry.
That's good.
Such an underrated movie.
That is such an underrated movie.
But a good follow up to that, though. And
Remember, I saw Book of Mormon here in Columbus, and I think I had a little substance before I went into Book of Mormon. And I think I laughed louder than the entire audience put together, to the point where people were looking at me like, what are you laughing at? And it was
This episode's powered by High Rider.
you had a really good explanation there of some of your stuff. But, for someone listening who feels kind of plain Jane, maybe doesn't really have a forsaken identity, what's a simple way they could start a build-up of their own visual brand or maybe personal character? We've done it with Two Dads. We've established who we want to be and what we want to be, which is authentic. But for someone out there that maybe is feeling a little lost, any advice to them on, how they might find their niche or their character?
So, yes, the obvious thing to say is be true to yourself. I mean, if you're passionate about something, you will be good at it. And I think you guys had a previous podcast where somebody brought that up. It's like, just if this is what you're into, there's a place for you to do that. I think it might have been the one with Danny Glover. Dennis Glover.
We didn't have Danny Glover. We had Darren Glover. Darren Glover.
Yeah. And we used to get made fun of for playing video games. We all grew up playing video games. And I was definitely one of those video game kids. And unfortunately, I abandoned that. And as I said, I had a VHS camera filming myself playing in television, never thinking, streaming. Yeah, that's going to be around in about 20 years.
Now you're looking at me up to the side of the table. It's like doing it every day.
Yeah, exactly. But I abandoned it because I thought, there's no future in videotaping myself playing video games. Who would want to watch that? So be true to yourself. And it's this one of my favorite books of all time. It's called Orbiting the Giant Hairball, and it's written by the creative director of Hallmark Cards. And it's absolutely amazing. And it's basically a life guide of understanding how to be creative in a bureaucratic world. That's the hairball. The hairball is the bureaucratic world. And he does this unintentional experiment where he goes to a bunch of kindergartners and he said, hey, kindergartners, who thinks they're creative? What's the response? Like, everyone puts their hands up, and sometimes people put up 2 hands. They can't raise their hands fast enough. Well, accidentally, he goes through different stages of schools and asks the same question. What do you think happens? He goes to 7th grade, fewer kids raise their hands. 9th grade, someone puts their hands up and everyone starts laughing at them, so they put their hand back down. So people just get judged for trying to be who they are and trying to be passionate. I think we're in a society now where I think it's a little more open-minded and people can be true to themselves, because with the internet age, we're able to see people in other countries and say, hey, wait, there is somebody like me. I'm not a freak. I'm not this little small town kid or a city kid that does something that no one else does and get picked on, because, confidence is a very short supply when you're young. And sometimes, you don't learn until you're older that I should have stuck with my principles. So
I think the confidence thing is key of that. And really just living fearless, especially at a young age, right? Like I would tell anybody that from the age of 16 to 24, unless you really are tied down to responsibilities, right? Maybe you had a kid at a young age and you have a big responsibility. Yeah. Just go out, live fearless. You can lose everything you have and not be that far behind anybody else at your age. Yeah. You go out, you want to put every dollar you saved into a startup and you completely flop. Who cares? Restart. Who cares? Restart, rebuild, go get another job that everybody else have, rebuild, do whatever. Just be fearless.
What's your take on failure? Now that you've been around the block. Yeah.
I'll quote Gary V or paraphrase Gary V. I haven't even had a high rider yet. When you're in your 20s, you should be making mistakes. He said that at a conference. Like, I love that. In your 20s, make mistakes. Do not keep score. That is when you're trying to figure out who you are. Not in your teens. Yeah, your teens are development age. And I want to back up to something that Bill said. I think the most important job anybody can have is being a parent. And I want to give you credit. Watching how you're interacting with Reichert earlier before the show, I was super impressed, man. That was really good. Like,
Awesome. I really appreciate that.
Reichert, for those of you who weren't here, we were tossing football around, and he's getting a little heated with the football. He had a little Aaron Rodgers energy going on there. And he threw a ball pretty hard and hit a laptop. And I think some parents might have reacted a certain way because they're under stress and so on. And to watch how calm you were and making it a teachable moment for him. And he may not appreciate it right now, but I guarantee you in a few years, he's going to look back and remember that moment like, yeah, that's who I want to be. I want to be like my dad and have this moment where calmness can solve so many problems. And we're in such a hyper fast society right now where everything's got to be now. And we forget the long tail. Like, we got to build for the future. And I think right now, one of the problems with AI is, first of all, it's a race to get content out there and be the first one out there. But there is some good that's going to come out of this. This is the fourth wave of, let's call it technology, and maybe fifth wave. And if anybody's old enough to remember the late 90s, man, there was just, everything was online. E-com this, e-com that, pets.com, toys.com. At some point, pets.com had more value than I think the top 5 physical retailers on the planet. And then who now remembers pets.com? So this shit's all going to...
Do you remember pets.com?
Or Pets R Us.
You remember the sock puppet?
Yeah, no, I do remember that.
Yeah, that was
all
pets.com.
I have are like Quiznos subs, rat. Remember? We love you subs.
Yeah.
Salina wasn't a
actually was
Walmart town yet.
amazing.
We didn't have that.
That's a whole nother debate we haven't talked about. What's a very Reiner thing or creative habit or superstition that you had that no algorithm could replicate? Because you talk about the creativity, you talk about the AI, the good, the bad that comes from it. But I'm interested, like, how can other people find their own superpower?
Persistence. You got to stick with it. Persistence, self-belief, and persistence. And tell a quick little anecdote. I had no business getting this job, but Shawshank Redemption, again, it's going to date me. Shawshank Redemption film.
That's not that bad. Okay. That one's, then television, yes. Shawshank Redemption, no.
Shawshank Redemption, this is where I got my nickname Reamer, by the way.
That was basketball, we all know.
Yeah. Shawshank Redemption, as most of you know, was filmed primarily in Mansfield, Ohio, but also in Ashland, Upper Sandusky. The woodshop scene was actually in Upper Sandusky, which I don't think is too far from here, right?
Upper Sandusky is
Sandusky
probably
is-
an hour.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
hour
that's
and
where
a
the
half.
woodshop scene was. And the bank scene was in Ashland, Ohio. But yeah, basically, I got a gig to be an extra background player in Shawshank Redemption. So I was moonlighting from my own grad school at the time. And I just caught the bug. And that's where I got the nickname Reamer because somebody couldn't see my name. So I became Reamer for quite a while.
First you were Tim, and then this jerk in the school says that. Now the
Yeah.
jerk in the thing.
Yeah. I had a lot of nicknames. Reindeer was another one. That one stuck with me for about 10 years. Reindeer.
Okay, that's kind of a thing.
Helmet was another one because we had the manager of our high school basketball team was very religious and he didn't believe in swearing. So he would not say swear words, but he would put a twist on them. And so his twist for penis was helmet. So he called me Helmet.
Okay, I've Bell End. I've heard that in
Yeah.
England and stuff
So
too.
yeah,
That's
so it
not
was
bad.
Helmet for a while.
Let me ask you a follow-up question to that. You talk about persistence, okay, as a key to unlock your superpower, or things to consider as you continue to develop an identity, a personality trait, a brand, a business. What's one exercise or habit you've given a listener to help them spot their own weirdness or turn it into a superpower during that persistence?
Yeah. Not necessarily looking for a reason why you're doing something. My favorite quote from Salvador Dali, my favorite artist, and bear with me, just because I don't know the meaning of something at the time when I created it doesn't mean I created it without meaning, which is the whole point of surrealism. Of course, it comes from a deeper place, and it's usually some kind of story that's from within inside, but you don't know what that story is. And sometimes it comes out. So again, just because I don't know the meaning of something at the time I created it doesn't mean I created it without meaning. I've been wearing these damn rubber O-rings for about 30 years, and people ask me, like, what are those? And I just put them on. I had no idea why I put them on. Then I realized, because I'm not really into like fancy jewelry. I don't know, because I'm wearing rings. But these represent like blue collar, because I grew up in a very, very big factory town, Akron, Ohio, which is the rubber capital of the world. So these are rubber. These are basically industrial O-rings. And it's just my way of somehow connecting with my community. But at the time I put them on, and maybe I'm putting this on, maybe I'm making the story up, maybe it's bullshit, but it's my bullshit and I truly believe it. And when you tell a story, it's a personal story. One more anecdote. A designer tells someone else's story, but an artist tells their own story. So when you're creating a product like this and you're a designer, you have to be able to relate to the community. They have to understand what the brand story is, like Coca-Cola or Bush or Good Liar. But when you're an artist, it's your own story. And so who you are as a person is really your own story. And if the world gets it, great. If they don't, no big deal, but stick with it. I think back to your original question, like everyone has a story to tell, and there is an audience out there that wants to hear your story.
You know, when art got monetized at one point was the downfall of art. Why? Because artists now create for the crowd and they try to make a piece that's going to speak to be valuable. And the real artists are the ones that don't give a shit about what you want to see. They let their feelings, emotions, eyes, sight, whatever, create this masterpiece. And then you see the beauty in them once you get to understand the artist, not the art. Like you almost need to understand who this guy is to see what he produces, as opposed to, oh my God, that's a beautiful thing, right? You got to understand the artist, not the art. And then it gets like 10x is the
Dude, that hits me right in the heartstrings.
Absolutely. And can I say one thing real fast?
Yeah.
So I know generally you shouldn't talk about sports, religion, or politics, so we'll avoid those topics. But I think the three biggest scams in society are insurance, politics, and art. And I love art. I have thousands and thousands of dollars of art, but guess what? It's worth nothing to anybody else. I paid so much money for some of this stuff. There's no resale value unless there's someone who wants to buy it. I mean, you're talking trading cards the other day with the dude from Vayner. It's a piece of cardboard. Who wants a Ricky Henderson rookie card? I remember I had 3 Ricky Henderson rookie cards the day he broke the stolen bases record. I'll never forget it. Nolan Ryan had a no-hitter that day and broke a record also, and no one cared about Ricky Henderson that day. And
I had great story.
That's a great story.
And I had this fucking rookie card. I'm like, oh my God, they just went up in 10 value. And then he said something stupid. I think he picked up the base, a very famous quote. He goes, one day Lou Brock was the greatest, but now Ricky's the greatest because he always spoke in third person.
Yeah.
And it like killed the value of that card. But yeah, anyway.
I love it from the art perspective of the podcast. And I'll say this briefly. I just like that, you know, we talked about on the way over here, episode 1, now to episode, I don't know, 42. There's such a big difference in the way that we build the art, the way the art has formed, but it's still our story. I think today, like, look, we're here having a conversation about AI in the beginning, and it's sort of morphed into this conversation about authenticity in your art, but I love that that's our art. I wish we had more time with you. I knew having him on this episode that I'd be pressed to talk. You have so many, I mean, we could talk about so many millions of topics. That's the brilliance of your brain. It's a brilliance that's really cool to see in person. I mean, Bill, I know you feel it. Even Riker felt it when he got here. It's a really cool presence. I wish I could have you for longer.
Speaking of presents.
Oh, you brought some things.
I will say, when we were in the garage messing around, that's probably the most interactive Riker's ever been with a guest that quick. Like seriously, I think
like
the energy was there.
I know that people are listening are you know, you can get a piece of his brilliance, and that's what I wanted to share with you guys. It's just kind of how, wow. This is an old product that I had housed in the warehouse, and
if you dig through Twitch streams, you will find that Mitch has quite often dressed as Dr. Disrespect when he's streaming PUBG, and used to make me laugh my ass. I watched your Twitch stream. Remember, I used to message you all the time back during COVID.
I would just do parodies.
Oh my God! When you did Dr. Disrespect, it was one of the funniest things ever. So here's a original Dr. Disrespect box.
Thank you so much.
So yeah, this was a product that I worked on a few years ago, and Mitch helped as well. And basically, his world and my world overlapped quite a bit with his influencer. You know, obviously you worked with Ninja, you worked with Mr. Beast, as you mentioned. We had him on Lamo until we didn't. But yeah, here are a bunch of, I brought some for you and also for,
this is really cool.
My son watches Courage all the time. Yeah, he's going to love this.
That's
Tim the Tatman.
I love Tatman, dude.
So Reiner, we're sitting here. I'm glad the world got to see your brilliance. I'm glad that you got to come in here, and I know listeners are kind of knowing that we're kind of all over the place a little bit, but that's the brilliance of what I'm trying to showcase to people here in the county. I want them to take away something like that. I want them to feel it, to chase something new, to try something new, and it's a mixture of both of what you guys have said. I mean, what's your biggest takeaway here, Bill?
I think my biggest takeaway is really just like being limitless, right? Like just being fearless, going out there and, you know, being adventurous, trying things, starting a company up, doing whatever you do, and not letting, you know, society limit your beliefs, and just being who you are, true to your core, which I think we do on this podcast, which fits right into this episode.
So whether it's High Rider or some of these toys and stuff, or trying something new, I'm glad you came. Are you happy? You're such a fan of this. I mean, I love
this podcast. Just to fluff you guys a little bit. Brandon, Slip Matt, and I couldn't get enough. I was watching all of them, like literally falling asleep listening to you guys. And, you know, I know you from your personality on Twitch, and then Bill quickly became digital friends with and now IRL friends. You guys have such great chemistry. I love what you're doing for this community. I'm a small town farm boy. And driving through Salina, I thought it was absolutely beautiful. One of the questions like, where's the Moose Lodge? And I wouldn't even know you guys had a Moose Lodge.
We were taking him on the tour and he's like, dude.
Take me to the Moose.
Where's the Moose?
Yeah, absolutely. And so because they sponsor you guys, that's how I was aware of them. And that's the power of advertising. Yeah, earlier I said advertising manipulation, but that was really the one side of the story. The other side of the story, it makes people aware of what's going on. So I think you guys are doing a great service to getting these people on here. Like hearing the kid's story behind the Willow is absolutely amazing. It's like, God, what was I doing when I was 18? That's mind-blowing. It's inspirational. So yeah, thanks for having me on.
Well, I know there's a lot going on. And we're going to have a part 2. Will you come back for us
Absolutely.
sometime? I mean, we can do it digitally, but...
You had me at hello.
We're going to do a little game show, though. We had a little AI in the beginning. I know we've talked a variety of topics here, but I also like where we're coming back. Bill, do you want to play this one too?
Yeah, if you think I can handle it, I will.
I'm going to read a list of oddly specific things that a creative person might need to do. Stuff like a 10-minute ramble into a podcast outline. I don't know. Designing logos on the fly or even rewriting your text so you sound cooler. Reiner and Bill, your job is simple. For each one, you have to tell us if AI can already do it today or if we're still safe in human-only territory.
So human or AI?
So if you're listening, you guys can play along. Are you ready? I'm going to rapid fire these. Can AI take a 10-minute rambling voice memo and turn it into a clean, structured podcast outline with title ideas?
Absolutely, yes.
Yes.
The answer is yes. Can AI design 30 different logo concepts for a fictional energy drink called Midnight Gasoline in under a minute?
Absolutely, yes.
Let's see. The minute, no. I'm going to go with no.
Yes, they can. Damn. Can AI generate a fake Drake-style song about your hometown and output it with his voice and flow?
1,000% yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Can AI write a fake but convincing motivational speech in the style of Matthew McConaughey giving a TED Talk in a parking garage?
Yes, and I want to try that.
Yes. Yes, it is. Another yes. And can it clone your voice well enough to record a podcast intros that sounds like you without ever having to touch a mic?
It's a little gray. It's almost yes.
They've all been yes. I'm going to continue the trend yes.
Yes, and this previous recording was AI. I'm just kidding. Imagine if people were like,
I'm standing right here.
Yeah. That was AI? I can't believe that. But that was Reiner. Thank you, sir. I just wanted to showcase that as a fun little game show ending, that AI can take the form and shape of a lot of things. So proving a point there, every answer was yes, and just be wary out there because things are changing and AI has a lot of capabilities. Last thing to say before we go, fellas.
No, I had a great time, Rainer. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for the gifts. I will indulge with them after the podcast, possibly.
Embrace fear, make mistakes, and have a good time all the time.
And we'll have a good time. See you next week. Peace.